Hi, my name is Drew, and I'm a professional browser developer and CDN engineer. And one of the things I like to do during my free time is learn new things and document it in a blog that I've created called drewlearns.com. I hope you check it out. But today I'm going to teach you how to create a WordPress website for yourself as a professional portfolio and resume, much like what you see here. In fact, I'm using the same exact theme that I've used for my own website. My website is going to change, so don't feel like you're ripping me off in any way. In fact, I encourage you to take what I've created and build upon it, or I mean, you can have the exact same website. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So what we're going to do is actually, I've already created a kind of a Word document to walk you through this process right here on Learn with Drew. And so here's the process if you'd like to look into it. So it's got some prerequisites. I'm just going to walk you through this guide here. So what you're going to do is head over to Local and download. It's going to ask you to fill out a form, and this is a marketing form. So Flywheel, the company Flywheel, can reach out to you and try to sell you hosting. I love Flywheel, and I'll get more into that in a moment. But before we really get into anything else, and while that's downloading, oh, it's got the little robot. This is the same little pin I've got on my hat, and I've got the Local shirt on. I just wanted to share. WordPress is the most popular web platform. I think last statistic I heard was it makes up 35% of the visible web. So most sites you see online, at least their marketing pages are all WordPress. WordPress is taken over by storm because it's open source and it's free to use and develop sites. The dilemma is, in order to develop sites, or before to develop sites, you had to have hosting. And WordPress.org was created as an open source project by actually WordPress.com, which is a hosting platform that hosts WordPress.org sites. The main benefits of WordPress is that it's a blog-centric website. It allows you to build visually appealing websites that are responsive and really pretty easy. You don't have to know any code, and you can really just build something fantastic that you could be really proud of. And my intention with this is that you can start learning how to code and document your process all along on your blog and share with the world what you've learned. I learn new stuff every single day, and I think documenting the process is really fantastic. And looking back over the last year of just me blogging, I've got so many articles, and I think other people would really benefit from this. Anyway, so after you've downloaded Local by Flywheel, it'll be an app like this. Make sure you pick the right platform. Different operating systems have a slightly different app, like Linux or Windows. This is for Mac specifically, but everything that I'm going to teach you should not differ very much at all. The next thing I'm going to have you do is on this site, if you scroll down just a little bit, I've got this link, and I just want you to go there and download this zip file, and it's pretty small. After it downloads and you have the local app installed, we're going to drag and drop it into here. But before you do, I'm going to discuss what Local is and how it kind of works. So this is a really cool app that allows you to work on your WordPress website without paying for hosting, so you can save money from the get-go, just developing your site, and it's free to learn. So hopefully what I've done for you in this download that you just downloaded is cut out a lot of the legwork in getting a website started. So you have a basic framework that you can work with. And you're going to take that and you're going to start up a site much like mine. And what you can see here, after you have a site started, you can start or stop it here. You can pull from Flywheel or WP Engine, or you can push from your computer to WP Engine or Flywheel. I think eventually they may have other hosts, so this video may become dated in that regard, so just keep an eye out. You can connect it to your hosting platform. I use Flywheel. I used to work for Flywheel, and I think they're an amazing company. And I feel very fortunate to have had the privilege of working there. There's also add-ons. There's extensions. Most of these were actually created by Clay Griffins, the actual original creator of Local. Local has gone through a couple phases. Originally, it was WordPress-O-Matic, and they changed their name to Local By Flywheel when he partnered up with Flywheel, and then WP Engine purchased Flywheel last year, and they changed their name again to be more inclusive of the WordPress ecosystem, and just called it Local. So yeah, you download this from localwp.com, fill out the form, get the app, and you'll look like this. Now you could create a new site right here, no problem, but we're not going to have to do that today. And one other little cool feature I wanted to share was live links. Now live links, if you enable this, will give you this ngrok URL. It may have changed since I used it last, but this is a shareable URL that works across the internet, and your computer is the web host. And the tunnel for it is open for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending, and it'll probably have enough bandwidth for one person to use. And this is really great to show off your work before you publish it live on a server, like if you have clients. I thought I'd share that. And there's some other features here, but we'll get into those in just a moment. So now that you've downloaded the portfolio zip, don't unzip it like I just did. Actually, just go to your downloads, and it should be right here. So what you're going to do, shrink this. You're going to drag and drop that into your local window, and it's going to take a moment, and it's going to spin up a new local site. Now, it may ask for permissions a handful of times, and I'm going to move my face over to the other side of the screen so it's not blocking. Now, you can change your local name to anything you want. And so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to leave it as portfolio, but you can change it to anything. You don't need to put a .com or anything like that. Now down here, you can click on advanced options, and you can change this site's domain on your local computer and domain. And here I just have a single caution: do not change this domain to the same thing that you plan on using on your live site. And the reason for that is that your local host files will actually store that path, and then when you try to access your live site, you'll just hit a dead end, or you'll hit your local version and you won't be able to see the live version. It can create some problems, and I caution against that. You can also change where it's storing the portfolio, but I'd recommend just leaving these two things alone. And then we're going to click continue, and you'll see two options. You have preferred and custom. I'd recommend just leaving it as preferred. This is PHP 7.3, an Nginx web server, and MySQL 8. The reason for this is that WP Engine and Flywheel both use this stack and this environment. So if you were to want to push this to their environment later using local, which we're not going to get into in today's video, I'm just going to walk you through how to install and some basic customizations. Um, you wouldn't be able to if you set up a custom environment. Like you can set up an older PHP version. You can set up Apache or a older MySQL. 5.7 is pretty popular. But the dilemma is, and the reason why that you can do this is because you may actually just develop this in local for free and then decide you don't want to host it in one of those locations. And that's cool. That's great. This is open source and free a tool to use to develop websites. But if you edit these, then you're not using the preferred environment, you won't be able to push using the little cloud icons to one of the easier paths to going live, which would be Flywheel or WP Engine. So anyways, we're going to click Import Site. And now it's going to start this whole big old process of extracting the import, initializing, and then setting up the environment. And so while that's doing that, I'd like to discuss, if you do have problems with local, bear in mind it's a free product. And with free products comes community support, and oftentimes it's not immediate. Now, I would love to tell you how to get support, and so you just go over here to Local's website, and you go to their community, and these are forums, and I'd like to kind of show it off to you. Here we go. My computer is operating fairly slowly. I don't know if you can see this in the screencast, but I'm at 73% CPU because I'm recording and also running local, which while it's doing this extraction process is fairly intensive on my computer, and it looks like my browser just crashed. Well, okay, so it's working now. It's provisioning services. I should get a pop-up for my admin credentials. Anyways, here in the local community, you can see the latest releases. You can seek support, and you can even find documents that I've created, finding problems from, I think, Drew, I'm in there. Here I am, Local By Flywheel stuck check. But people like me and the developers of this app are on there constantly. So here it's now prompting me for my password. All right, and now, it would help if I can type. Okay, so I'm going to close up the community forums, but I just wanted to point out that this is where you should go if you have any problems with local, unless it's pushing or pulling to Flywheel or WP Engine. You reach out to one of them respectively. Next up is this. After this thing changes the domain on your local host file, we're going to end up trying to add an Ssl certificate. I think this is really important to mention with WordPress websites. If you develop a WordPress website without an Ssl certificate from the get-go, you're very likely to run into mixed content problems. And this is one of the biggest WordPress support items that come up. So you can run search and replaces, and you can try to fix it after the fact, but it's just a lot of headache, and it's easily avoided just by adding an SSL. So I've already used portfolio.local, but in your case, it's not trusted yet. So there will be a green, there will be a green trust button here, and you just click it and trust, and what it'll do is add a local cert to your keychain or your I don't know what Windows uses. So here again, I'd like to kind of just discuss what you're looking at. So the site is started, and I could stop it, but I can two-finger click, or on a Windows right click, and you can see this menu. So I have an admin dashboard. I can reveal in Finder, open site in a shell. So this is pretty cool. So you can actually be in the WP CLI and run WP commands like WP get site URL. I think that's the right. I don't know. It's been a minute. Get it doesn't matter. um, I have not played with WordPress in a couple months. So or at least WP CLI. And I will probably cut that out post edit. Who knows? Anyway, so here you can see your web service Nginx, your PHP version, MySQL for your database, and the WordPress version with 5.4.2. And I'd like to kind of dive into this momentarily as well. WordPress comes out with a major release, which is this first digit, rarely, occasionally. The last release, I think, was last year, and that was for Gutenberg. And it kind of divided the WordPress community quite a bit because before they were using a what you see is what you get text editor, and then people had to learn a new editor called Gutenberg, and everybody had been using like Divi or Elementor or Beaver Builder, and they just couldn't they couldn't change from that mindset to Gutenberg. But honestly, what I'm going to show you, Gutenberg's actually really great. I was quite skeptical of it myself at first because I came up in this community using Divi and then Elementor, and it's really absolutely great. The next thing on here is the minor version, which is the second digit, and then every 2 weeks they'll add security patches, and so that's the last digit. But the minor releases are update for like new features, or they could be major security changes, but these can all be breaking changes, and that's important to note. Security patches, the minor updates, I wouldn't worry about them. Like, go ahead and update minor releases. All your major releases for the first 2 digits, test it out first. Use a staging site or your Local By Flywheel. You can actually edit it. All right, so this next tab, you have database, and I'd like to show you this because there's a high probability that you'll actually end up locking yourself out of your local site. And so there's one way to do it, which is, reset, I forgot my password, or you could use, and get an email, and you could use utilities, OpenMailHog, and it's like an email server where like an email inbox. So you can like test email on your local site. But I'm going to show you some. You don't have to know anything about MySQL here. We're just going to open it up, and if you get stuck, refer back to this later. So this is very similar to my PHP admin, and what you're looking at is just a database, and this is the WordPress database. So you just look for WP users right here, and then what you're looking at now is the schema or the structure of the MySQL database. You're going to want to go over to select data, and then just select the first one, or well, whichever user there is, and you want to click edit. Now you can change the username, and you can change the password. Now what you're seeing right now is not actually my password, and I'd like to mention that this is hashed. This is an MD5 hash, which is standard with WordPress. If you know anything about hashing tables, please just never use the same password across any site or across users ever. So let's say we want to set this password as password. Now you'll see I'm setting it right here on user pass, and I'm going to click MD5, and I'm going to save. Now you can see it's rehashed it, and it's different. So this means that somebody that got access to your database couldn't just easily just copy paste this into the login and get access. They'd actually have to go through the trouble of unhashing it. Now, this used to be complicated, but not so much anymore. So, like I said, use secure passwords and also don't reuse passwords. Now, you're probably like, Drew, let's just go on with this, okay? And we're finally there, okay? So your site's created, you've got local, we're gonna visit the site. So this little button right here, visit site. And I'm gonna move myself out of the way here. And this is what we just created. Now I've done a lot of the legwork, like I said. I took basically my site and I stripped it of anything personal, and it's got a brand new database, so you're not like getting any kind of garbage from me, and it doesn't have any of my my articles, so you can start from scratch. So you're at your home page right now. You click here, you're at your home page, and I tried to put placeholders for everything, and you can see like some of these links don't work. That's because they're just a hash tag. So you have a portfolio, you have a learn with your name. You just kind of scroll down, and here's your first article that I created for you. It's lorem ipsum, so don't get too excited. You can see that the first paragraph is slightly different from all the other paragraphs, and the admin users, the one that created this, and this is their bio, and you can comment on this post. Now, let's take a look at how we log into the site. Now, there's two ways to do it. You can log in right here by clicking admin, which will take you to this page, or from here you can just go to your domain /wp-admin. Now, remember how I said 35% of the web is using WordPress, right? So everybody's default login is wp-admin, which doesn't sound very secure if everybody knows how to log into my site, right? So we'll get into how to fix that in just a second. But so now you're here and you can log into your site, so we can start editing. Let's begin. So your username and password is admin password. Hopefully I've typed that correctly, and no, I don't want to save the password. And we're going to secure this with a new username and password. So this is your WordPress dashboard, and you are now logged in as admin, the user that I created. And we're going to go through the process of removing that user. So just follow along. I'm going to go to users, all users, and you can see that this is the user I'm logged in. It's the only one, and I'm going to add 2 users. And I'm using 2 users because you want an administrator user that can make breaking changes like adding plugins, removing plugins, adding themes, turning off themes, and we'll get into those terms in just a minute. But for now and these purposes, we're just going to focus on creating an admin user. So my username is going to be Drew. Actually, this is going to be my admin, so I'm going to just call it Rick and Morty. Okay, and my email is going to be rickandmorty@gmail.com. It doesn't actually matter. And Rick, Morty, website, rickandmorty.com. All right, and then so now you can set your password. Now, for demonstration purposes, I'm using password. I recommend against this wholeheartedly. The most common password is password. And there's so many attacks that can happen to a WordPress website, and so it's just important to use strong passwords in general. So I'd recommend against using password or any dictionary words, because there's actually there's password dictionaries, believe it or not. You don't need to send this user a notification, but if you did, it'd show up back over here in the utilities email hog, right? Now, we're going to select the role of author. Sorry, this one's administrator, right? So it's obscure, it's random. Nobody would just randomly guess Rick and Morty or rickandmorty@gmail.com. So we're going to add this user, and then we're going to add another one, and this one's going to be your actual name. So Drew, and email is drewlearns@hey.com, if I could type. Drew, Karriker, website's drewlearns.com. Now I'm going to show him password, and for demonstration purposes, again, weak password, I have to confirm it. I would strongly recommend against this. Don't send, and now this is going to be an author. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is your authors the name will probably be pretty easy to guess, and you probably will share your email address. And so if somebody has access to your website and your login page, WP admin, they can start guessing your password. Now, with a good host, and some other tools that we'll get into momentarily, you can be a little bit more secure. The whole reason with the author user is that if somebody were to guess it and they got access to your site, the only thing they're going to be able to do is edit pages or posts, and they're not going to be able to break your site, and they can't do anything that could really take your site down, and you're not going to lose anything. And once again, don't reuse this password, and don't make this password the same as your other password, because if they gain access to author, then they may try that same password for the other one. There's something called an enumeration attack, where they can actually get all the users for your website. It's silly and crazy how industrious these guys are. So now I'm just going to add that user, and you can check that Drew is an author, Rick and Morty is an administrator, and now I want to remove this admin user, but since I'm logged in, I don't have that delete option. So what we're going to have to do is log out and then log back in. So you just go up here to the top where it says Howdy Admin and log out. I'm just going to make sure I remember the username, which is oh, just rickandmorty@gmail. Okay, so log out, and I'm going to log back in as rickandmorty@gmail.com. You can use the username or email, and then my password is password. Here we go. Not going to remember that password. And now I'm going to go to users, and now I have that option to delete admin. And so what I'd recommend doing is clicking that. Alternatively, I'll show you a different option. If you wanted a bulk delete, you can like remove 2 users by clicking here and then apply, but we're not going to delete. I don't want to delete the work that I just did. So delete admin, and now you're going to be taken to this screen. Now this is super important. Don't press anything else. If you click delete all content, you'll pretty much render all this work you've just done worthless. You might as well have just come over here and created a blank WordPress website. So what you want to do here is attribute all content to your author user. And this is really important, so please don't click confirm deletion and have delete all content selected. All right, so confirm deletion. Now you only have 2 users, and that's Drew and Rick and Morty. Now, remember how we said everybody has the same WP admin path? Well, it's really recommended that you obscure or hide that. And one way you can do that is with plugins. So let's talk about what plugins are. Plugins in the WordPress community is like inserting a code to your back end of your server that can perform specific tasks or do cool things on your front end. There's a lot, and we'll look into that now. But over here on your left side, your plugins, you can click plugins, and it's going to take you to a screen that shows you everything that's installed. Now I've already added a bunch of plugins here for you. And you can even edit these plugins if you know PHP, or you want to edit the CSS or JavaScript, how some of these are displayed. And on one of my later videos, I might show you how to edit reword. And reword is this cool thing here. So if you like go to my site and you saw something was wrong, like this, you can highlight it and then click reword, and you can provide, whatever needs to be changed, and I'll get a notification and I can fix it. And so actually I greatly appreciate it. I'm not offended if you find errors. I'm not superhuman. Okay, so back over here at the plugins page, we're gonna look at how to add a new one. You don't really need to make any changes to the ones that are already installed. They should be set up. There's two that are not active, and that's this top one that's white. It's Akismet and Jetpack. These are optional. I highly recommend Akismet if you're going to allow comments on your blog. So let's go to add new. And so you can see that there's a lot of recommended ones, and these are just really popular. You could probably spend hours looking through all of them. I think that there's like Akismet was the one that I was recommending. You activate, but you need Jetpack and a WordPress.com account, which we're not going to get into. But if you want to, the on-screen instructions are pretty easy to follow. It helps you deal with comment spam. But what we're going to install, and you're going to search for WPS hide login. I already have it. right there. So after you type that in, it'll be this first result here with the green padlock. You can see 700,000 plus active installations, so you know it's trustworthy and it's compatible with my current version of WordPress. And this is pretty important. Some of them you'll see. Let's see if I can find one. Probably have to scroll down the list. They may say that they're not tested with your current version. I don't have any on this page, and I don't see any real benefit. You can also check the ratings to see if this is a good one or not. These are created by WordPress users who found a problem and found a solution. Sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're with paid add-ons, but if they're in this, they're free to use, and some of them may have like a trial, but you can at least free to use in some manner. This one is 100% free and is recommended by the Flywheel team to help secure your website. So you're gonna click install now and then activate. Now after you activate it, you'll be taken back to that screen here, and you want to scroll all the way down, and you'll see WPS hide login, and it's blue, so it's activated. And what you want to do is click settings. Now I'd like to take a moment to discuss settings. Settings are more like what your server allows, or the behavior of your server, and you can kind of explore through each one of these if you'd like, and change like comment rules and whether or not you allow search engines to index. I would recommend looking through here, and like with any new SaaS product, I think it's really a good idea to just go through every menu. I don't know why. I've always done this. New products, I click through every menu, right click on everything, learn everything, and know where everything is before I do anything. Anyway, so what you can see here is this is your login URL, and currently it's WP admin, right? And by default, this plugin changes it to login. This is also great because it doesn't reveal to a complete stranger that you are using WordPress, though it's probably obvious if you knew what you were doing. I recommend changing this. Change this to something random, like I don't know, iPhone. It really doesn't matter. Probably not something you would likely write an article about, but or a category. So we're just going to call this hide login, and you can even put a slash no login, something like it doesn't matter. So I don't confuse myself. I'm just going to leave this as WP admin for myself, but I strongly recommend changing this. Okay, now along with this, you can also change your site title. So if you scroll up to the top of that page, so let's say we're going to change this to Drew Learns, and then the tagline, Learn with me. If I could type today, and you can change your admin email. I would recommend making this your author email, just to be safe. New user default subscriber, and then you can pick your preference on these items, and then just go through these other options. All right, so save settings, and let's head up to themes. So we talked about plugins. And remember how when we were at the plugins menu and we added a new one and it says install now? Well, you're probably wondering where does it install? Well, in Local, and the file structure in Local is the same as it would be on a web server. So let's take a look at that. At the top of your Local, you can see this file path up here where it saved your website. And you click here, or alternatively, you can double click here and reveal in Finder, but it's already open. Let me move myself. You can navigate to the plugin folder by going to App, Public, WP Content. Now, before I go there, excuse me, this is what you're looking at inside of your public folder here is your WordPress website. This is all WordPress default stuff here. And the only things that make your site is your database and the WP content right in here. So you can go, here's your plugins and here's your themes. Inside your plugins, you see all the plugins that were added. Now, if you wanted to add a new one from a file you downloaded, you can upload it right here on the top left of this screen here where it says add plugins, or you go to plugins, add new, and then upload a plugin. Or you can open this up and then just drag and drop a .zip file or the folder itself, unzip it here. To upload it into WordPress dashboard, it has to be a .zip file. So now we'll talk about themes. So the themes are here, and you can see there's 3 installed. Right now what you have is, you go over here to Appearance, Themes, and let me move myself again. You have these 2 and the default 2019. There's also, I think, 2018 and 2017 that come by default. I removed 2018 and 2017. It's always a good practice to keep 2019 around, at least while you're in development, and then you want to remove any that you're not using once you go to production. When I say production, I mean like a live site. So you can see that there's 2 themes here, and you're probably wondering, like, why is there 2 themes? I've got, this one says it's active, and this one is, I have the option to activate it. Why don't I activate that one? It looks like it's probably better or something. So WordPress, when it first came out, you had a theme, and then if you updated your theme, you'd lose all the customizations that you had put in, and it would overwrite all of it. And so what the Genesis framework is here, this is the parent theme, and it's got like all the CSS, like the bootstrap bits of it, your theme framework, and then here is a child theme of that. And so what happens is, if you want to update your theme, you won't update your child theme. It'll stay the same. This is literally just the user interface, user experience. That's all this is. This can be updated and not cause you to lose all your work or break your site. So in here, you can actually just click customize, but I rarely ever come through this menu. I just click on appearance customize, or when you're actually like on the site itself, you'll have a menu. You can click like Drew learns, and then it'll say customize. So we're going to click customize. And now I'd like to distinguish some differences here between what is a what you're customizing versus like what content is. So what you're looking at here, like these words and these images, that's content. We're not customizing content in this menu. We're customizing the look and feel of your website, from colors, positioning, like how the site looks and feels. So this is mostly just CSS, right? So what first thing you're going to do in this menu is you're going to go to site identity, and you're going to change your logo. You can pick a personal photo. You can just remove it if you want. But yeah, I definitely recommend removing this. But this logo is what is right here. This is on just about every page on this menu. And you can change your site title, which we've already done in the settings menu, and your tagline. You can also add a site icon. The site icon is actually a favicon, and that's what these are right here. This is a favicon up here. It's a really small little image of your site. I mean, like if you go to Amazon, see, that's their favicon. So make those changes, and then we're going to go back and we're going to select colors. Now, bear with me. This is a very basic change, and I'm going to make this full screen so you have a better view of it, and move me down here. So all these purple colors, with the exception of the reword, which I have customized to be purple, and in a later video I will show you how to do that. Let's say I want the theme, accent colors to be red. Well, you can see it live, real-time changing right here. So all these colors just turned red, and except for the reword, like I said, I'll discuss how to change that later. Now, well, that's pretty cool. What if I wanted it to be green? I think, yeah, I like green. It kind of matches the background of my insert your face here, and local. Let's go with that. And then let's say your Authority Pro settings. So basic settings, you can enable that intro paragraph that I was talking about before, where everything's italicized and kind of in a different font. And you can also show featured image on post, which I'd recommend doing. Leave these alone. You can turn on or customize the top banner. Right now, it just tells you how to access my website and my Twitter. I'd love a shout out if you've made it this far in the video and not like, God, this is terrible. Yeah, give me a shout. Anyways, you can change this to whatever you want. And you can use, HTML in here if you know HTML. But if you'd like to put links, just use an A tag with an href, and you can literally just change this link and change the name of what's in between these tags. But I'm not here to teach you HTML. Anyway, so I can turn that off and it's gone. And now you have a site that looks very similar to mine, but you'll want to further customize this in your menus. So right now, like your Get menu, this doesn't go anywhere. Well, we want to fix that. So I'd like to distinguish what the difference between this menu and this menu is. This, for this theme, is a social menu, which shows up on the left side and disappears when you're in. You can change the look and feel to be like a mobile or tablet or desktop. So it disappears on smaller screens. And this menu is different from this one. Neither one is dependent upon each other. So in the header menu, which is this one right here, and this also appears down here in the footer, which, get out of the way. And you can see I've already done some of the work for you. So in this one, just change learn with Drew. So learn with Drew from learn your name here. Now, an interesting thing, you can see how this one is different from this one, right? Well, the difference is the CSS class. And that's just a class called highlight. So highlight and then we'll see it change before your very eyes. There it is, Learn with Drew. And then you can see your portfolio link. So I'd recommend changing this to, actually you can just delete this and I'll show you how to make a new one. So let's say you want to add a new item. So you click Add Items, and let's say you already have pages, so it's already highlighted. And so you'd select Learn with, insert your name here, and there it is. And you can move these, the order of them, and you can make nested menus. Like these two are nested inside of resume. So let's close that. And so you can see inside of resume there's a drop down, and that's because these are nested inside of resume, so they're all grouped together. I'm totally messing this up, but I'm not going to end up saving all my work here. And then you can go to your social menu, do the same thing. I'd recommend updating all your custom links because all of them are just a hashtag. And once again, if you'd like to add highlight to your classes to make them stand out. So this is my download resume. Let's see, where is it? I don't even have it on there. Resume? Where is it? It's on the resume. I don't think this has nested items on it, so it doesn't even show up. I can make this one highlight. Here we go. Yeah, see? So now that one's highlighted. Now let's go back. Oh, do not exit this without publishing first, or you'll lose all your changes. Now widgets. Let's talk about what widgets are really quick. So on this page, the only widget is the footer, and you can see what widgets there are, which I haven't added any, but you can add like a calendar, and you'll see what it looks like. There it is. It's not pretty. I don't like a lot of the custom, the default widgets. But on your blog page, where all your posts are, you can see that there is this widget over here on the left side. This is your main sidebar, and if I go back, you can see now this menu is changed, that I have the option to select my primary sidebar because I'm on this page. If I was on the home page, this primary sidebar wouldn't be an option here. And so I can change the order here. I can make my recent comments first, or I can make my recent posts or articles right there. And I mean, you can just kind of play with it, and you can add new ones. So you can browse around and see what options there are. And yeah, next we'll go to your homepage settings. These are already set. I'd recommend leaving this alone. But I mean, this is your site. You can do anything you want, and I'd recommend testing stuff out. You might learn, oh, that's really cool. I like how that works. I don't know. Well, speaking of this, if you make your homepage your post page, it'll actually be a blog. It'll be this. And so I've intentionally created a homepage that's a static site, a static page. It's this, and then a post page, which is a bit custom. Now, in the theme settings, this you can get a little bit in the weeds with, but I'd like to talk about breadcrumbs. If you don't know what breadcrumbs are, in a single post or page, you can select whether or not breadcrumbs show. And breadcrumbs just show you where you are. You're here, and this is the path. And you can, like, oh, well, I don't want to be in uncategorized. I want to go back to home, whatever. This is preference. I like it. You might not like it. I think SEO likes it. Doesn't matter. I'd recommend not enabling trackbacks, mostly just because you'll get spammed. I don't know why. I've never used it. I don't see any purpose in it. I'm sure that there's some valid use of it. I haven't found it. You can make some changes, and you can add scripts. So if you know JavaScript, or you want to add your own fonts, this is where you do it. I put a Roboto font in the header script from Google. So if you were to inspect the page, you could see that this actually just shows up in the header, and you can do stuff in the footer too. That's super useful and a little bit more advanced. But if you know what you're doing, it's a great place to go. I wouldn't really play with SEO, but one of the things I would really recommend against doing is turning on author archives. A really easy way to find out all the users on your site is there's no reason to add it. Additional CSS. So if you know CSS and you've been like, well, I want to learn WordPress, but I'm too busy learning HTML and CSS, this is a great complement to those skill sets, and you can build something really impressive without ever having to touch CSS. But if you wanted to change stuff, like I'd like to show you in a moment. There's a, let's see here. Okay, this one right here. So I created I guess what you would call it is a CSS class, or well, it's not a class. I'm selecting it. Anytime I end up on my articles, this is actually better to show you. You can see here, like you can use. I'll show you more. It's easier to give an example. That defines this right here, so it makes it a little prettier on your page when you're calling out something, you want to highlight it instead of it being just boring font. And that's pretty much it for customizing your WordPress site. Now let's show you how to make an article, your first article, and edit a page. So we're going to go to posts, and you can see that I already have this first one here, and you can add a new one, but I'm just going to show you how to edit one after you've created a new one. The process is the same. So as you saw, the first page will be, the first paragraph will be this special introduction paragraph. It's kind of italicized. Everybody has their flavor. But before we really get into editing this page, this post, I'd like to distinct. There is a difference between a post and a page. This is a post or an article. You'll want to scroll down here, and you can see this document options, and you can close and open this very easily. I think the first thing that you should do is make sure that you're using your author user as the author, and you can create the proper category. So let's say this is for Dino, and I'm going to add that category, and then I can add tags. So this is going to be about Dino. This is super helpful for searching and just being a good good writer. All right, so now your featured image, which you'll be able to see. So up here on the top right, you have preview. You can actually see what the site looks like. And right now, this is your featured image. It's the only image in your media file, so sorry about that. I just didn't want to bog you down with tons of extra stuff. And then I usually use my introduction paragraph after I've written it here in my excerpt. So I'll copy, paste that in here. So let's copy, paste. And then you can choose to not allow trackbacks. I'd recommend against it, and choose to allow or not allow comments. Seth Godin, one of my favorite bloggers, I think he writes just about every day. His blog is phenomenal. I recommend following it. But he doesn't allow comments, just preference. Anyway, so within your editor, this is the Gutenberg Editor, and it's using atomic blocks. You don't need to know too much about it. What you do need to know is how to add new blocks. So if I come down here to the end of my paragraph, I can press enter and I'll be in a new block. If I press shift enter, I'm in the same block, and enter will be a new block. important distinction. And I can move, say like, I like this paragraph better up here. I can add a new heading. I can make a subheading, right? And one of the cool, let's say this is a subheading. I can change the subheading from an H2, which would be like, this is a main subheading, to subheading 4, which the font color will match your theme, which currently is set to purple because I didn't save it, but it would have been green if I had. And another thing you can do, let's say your first article is really technical and it needs an index. So we're gonna make a heading, and we're gonna make it H4. And now that index is gonna have, we're gonna press enter, and then I'm gonna see this little plus button over here? I'm gonna make this a list. So I'm gonna say list, and now I'm gonna say link, and, or not just yet. I'm gonna say this is item 1, and now I'm just gonna highlight it and click link. I'm gonna put the, let's call it subheading. Hashtag. I can't. I can't. Hashtag subheading. All right. And if you know anything about HTML and JavaScript, that's you can actually make this scroll to that section by clicking on this item. And the way you would do this, so you just made this random, like it's hashtag subheading. The way you do this is you come over here to your heading, subheading, and you're going to edit as HTML. And right here at ID equals quote subheading, end quote. And then we're going to click the ... and we're going to say edit visually. Now, if I broke something, it'll give me a warning. It's pretty great. And now this link will auto scroll down here to subheading. Pretty cool. And you can rinse and repeat this as necessary. Other things you can do, you can add images. So I use a tool called Cloud App. So I can take a screenshot, and now it's in Cloud App. I'll copy the link. But it won't actually work with the copied link. I have to get a copy direct link, and then insert from URL, boom, press enter. There it is. Now I'm hosting this image from Cloud App instead of my website, so I'm taking a lot of load off my site. It's actually a pretty good idea. I recommend it. I do have a custom domain, so I would recommend getting a paid subscription to it. It's actually a really great product. We use. I tried to use it this morning to work with Kyle Rosa, who this article was supposed to complement, but due to technical difficulties, Cloud App did not record it, and so here I am doing round 2. Anyway, so back over to this. There's a lot more options. One of the things I recommend is SumoPress, and I already installed. This is actually a plugin that I installed for you. So this is an editor, and you can, and it works like any IDE, basic one. You can write code, and then when you go look at your page, it's pre-formatted to look a certain way for code, and it's got the the line item, the line number next to it, which is super helpful. Another thing I like to do is go to Twitter, and I like to quote people. So you can embed quotes into your articles pretty easily. So let's see, like this article from Raj, copy that link to his tweet, and then I'll come over here and make a new block, and I'm going to search for a block called embed, and my face is in the way again. I'm going to click Twitter, move my face back out of the way, and now all I got to do is paste that URL there, and his post, just like it looks as a Twitter card, is right there. And that's pretty cool. And I think that pretty much covers most of the things that I would use. You may use a quote. I like to use quotes sometimes. And you can change, let's say this is supposed to be a header, right? You can click this, you can change it, like this quote, or go back to heading. You can change this however you want. It's yours. Another thing to do is group stuff. So you can highlight two and group them together, and you can make this add to reusable block. So let's say I want to use this on other pages in the future. I can just save this. So this is my reusable block one, and I'll save it. Now I just made my own custom block here. So down here, I can add that same one, reusable block one. There it is. So I just made, oh, perhaps if it was on a different page, obviously I wouldn't do this on the same one, but now we can go preview this article, and this is what it looks like. It's pretty cool. Now, one of the things you'll notice is I'm missing my author bio, right? So let's go fix that. So back on your page, let's go ahead and update this, and it'll save. I don't want to view the post. Now click on this W icon. That's the WordPress.org logo, the black background. WordPress.com logo is a blue background. Interesting fact. So scroll down here, and we're going to go down to users again, all users. And for Drew, I'm going to edit. And I'm going to create an author bio. So words and more words. And then you can create a profile picture, but you have to be logged in as that user. So you can log out, log back in with the author user. You can, your profile picture will be set typically by Gravatar, and this will require you to log into WordPress.com. So you might want to create a WordPress.com account. And I don't think there's really much else. Oh, yeah, you have to enable author box. So click on enable author box on users posts and archives, and then just update the user. So now we'll go back to, this is your first article, and refresh. Let me scroll down, there it is. So see how it just appeared magically, and we didn't have to do much. All right, so last but not least, your pages. So we've created some pages. So this is your home page. This is how you edit a page. So you go to the page and you edit it. And now you're still in a block editor, but it's slightly different. This is Atomic Blocks. It's still Gutenberg Editor, but it's it allows you to frame stuff, create like multiple frames. I'll demonstrate. So here we're going to change my, hello, I'm Drew, capitalize the D, and then I'm not going to really change anything. You can change the name, the image, and change your name. Let's just change this over here, Drew. And then, so what I did here was, it was actually supposed to be a preview. You can just click there and add an image. And I'd recommend going and nabbing the logo for the companies that you have worked for as a contributor and upload them to your media library. Upload them and then pull them from your media library, select them. And I think I should probably also discuss the media library momentarily. You can also adjust the size of and position of these just like before. Let's say I want to make this I can't do that one. You'll have a dot in it. Let's see if I can find one with a dot. There'll be a little dot at the bottom center, and you can adjust the size. Oh, here it is. All right, so on the right over here, if you select the block, you see how I click that? And you can add margin to the top, bottom, padding. Actually, these are padding. Padding is inside of the block, and margin is outside of the block. I hope that's an easier description. And you can also make these, I think you can do percentages, if I'm not mistaken. No, yeah, it's percentage by default. And you can do inside container pixels. You can set the max width, so it's only like so big. Let's see. You can change background images. I can make that background image in there. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. You can change the link for this. Let's see, so this button here, you can edit that and make it, whatever you want. It should just be, I don't know why I keep doing that. You can always make it open in a new tab. And the basics of it are very similar to a post, but a page can host posts. Posts are not a page. Posts live within a page. I kind of need to make that clarification here. I'm not saving this. I'm just going to go back to the main menu, and I'll talk about the media lastly, and then I'm going to conclude this. So in your media, you can add new, and you can just select files from your desktop. So like this one, I can just open, and there it got added, and I can select it. Now I can even edit the image in here. I can crop it, I can rotate it. There's a lot of options here, and scale it. But I'm not going to do that. One of the things I would recommend doing, and this is for people with audio visual discrepancies, is checking out or creating an alternative text for all your images and a caption and a description. You don't have to, but it's really good practice at a minimum to have an alternative text. So this would be Drew. And then I will save, if I can, yeah, it's saved already. And exit. And so now this is my image. Now I can go back to my appearance, customize, and I'm going to set my site logo to that. So you'll see what it looks like. So site identity, change logo, be this one, select, skip cropping, there it is, boom. I hope you really enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to use WordPress within Local by Flywheel, Local, as it's affectionately known as now. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. You can shoot me a message, or you can even leave a comment. And also, if you have any questions along the way with installing Local initially, my website, this article, how to make a portfolio website with WordPress, is right here for you to easily step-by-step follow. This gets you all the way through the changing your username and password and setting up that author user that I had mentioned. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Shoot me a message on Twitter. Love to hear from you. Bye-bye.